right, let's take a look at chapter 22, number 5, Canadian attitudes toward guns. Canada has much stronger gun control laws than the United States, and Canadians support gun control more strongly than do Americans. A sample survey asked a random sample of 1,505 adult Canadians, do you agree or disagree that all firearms should be registered? Of the 1,505 people in the sample, 1,288 answered either strongly agree or somewhat agree. The survey dialed residential telephone numbers at random in all 10 Canadian provinces, omitting the sparsely populated Northern Territories. Based on what you know about sample surveys, what is likely to be the biggest weakness in this survey? Well, for starters, they excluded the Northern Territories, right? So that's an issue. And also, people without phones are excluded. And probably people without cell phones. So anyone who's potentially excluded, right? Including the fact that they omitted the Northern Territories. Nonetheless, act as if we have an SRS, a simple random sample from adults in the Canadian provinces. Give a 95% confidence interval for the proportion who support registration of all firearms. All right, so let's take inventory. We are trying to construct a 95% confidence interval, right? That has a Z star of 1.960 from your table, or you might remember it at this point. We'll want to construct a confidence interval using p hat, right? So that's going to be p hat plus or minus Z star times the standard error, which is p hat times 1 minus p hat divided by n, all square rooted. So that's our confidence interval, p hat plus or minus the margin of error. We have Z, right? I jumped the gun a little and wrote down what Z star was. P hat from our problem is the 1,288 people who agree or strongly agree out of the 1,505 people who responded. That gives us 0.8558. Now, we'll also want to compute the standard error of p hat, right? So the standard error is that square root of p hat times 1 minus p hat over n, which is the square root, hope I can fit it, I'm going to ditch the zeros, of 0.8558 times 0.1442 over 1,505. That is 0.009055, and I truncated it there. Also, the confidence intervals use the margin of error, right? So we can find the margin of error. Which is Z star times the standard error. This is 1.960 times 0.009055 for a margin of error of 0.0177. All right, now we're ready to solve our confidence interval. Our p hat is 0.8558, and our margin of error is 0.0177, and the confidence interval is p hat plus or minus the margin of error. 0.8558 plus or minus 0.0177 equals a range of 0.8381 to 0.8735. An interval of 0.8381 to 0.8735 means we are 95% confident that the true population proportion of adults in the Canadian provinces who support registration of all firearms is between 83.81% and 87.35%.